So it is election night, and it's intense, I'm sure. I am not in the United States because when I realized that we were witnessing the fall of Western civilization, I thought I better not be underneath of it when it falls. So I got out of Dodge. Luckily for me. And something happened yesterday, some censorship type stuff that I think is really important to discuss. And I'm also going to make some really powerful points about the. Sorry, guys, I'll explain this in a second. Abominable, the awful candidates in the U.S. this year. I also want to thank those of you that have wished me speedy recovery. I am in excruciating pain because of a dental issue, basically bad genetics. It's not clear whether it can even be fixed. I don't know what that's going to mean. So, yeah, kind of sucks. Luckily, I live in a country where coca leaves are legal, and so I have this nice numbing agent so that I can come on here and have a chat with everyone. But it still hurts pretty bad. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to do this. So, let's start with what happened yesterday. 2020, I was watching one of the Democratic preliminaries, I think they're called, which is weird because I don't ever watch that stuff. And I saw with my own eyes Tulsi Gabbard and Harris were basically sparring. Gabbard went after Harris about her record as a prosecutor, which is horrific. And Biden came up. And Harris said the only thing we need to know about Joe Biden is he more of a rapist or a racist. And then she accepted her nomination and said it was an honor to serve with such a great man. Right? So somehow I found myself staring at fact checkers saying that this didn't happen. And they cited as the source they thought it was coming from the time that she said, Joe, I don't think you're racist. The crazy thing is she was referencing the fact that she had just said he was racist. Why else would she have brought it up? Right? So I did a bunch of sleuthing, searching everywhere. Where is this debate? There were 11 debates. All the rest of them are there. Can't find it anywhere. Couldn't find this clip anywhere. But I found in the next debate, the moderator asks her about what she'd said about Biden in the previous debate. That is proof that it happened and that it's been deleted from the internet. So that's crazy. And then I also found Colbert on the Colbert Report. He asked her, how could you say these things about him and now you guys are best friends? And she's like, hideous cackle. It's a debate. Like lying through your teeth about someone is okay in the context of a debate or something. And so Colbert actually calls her out again and says, so are you lying now or were you lying then? So there are references to her having said this, but the clip is gone. So I post links to Colbert and the clip of the debate where she's called out on it. 2 hours later, I get a community standards warning, not a strike, but a warning for a video where I pick a mushroom and ID it in the camera. I do not talk about it being psychoactive. I do not eat it. There are entire channels dedicated to growing all sorts of different mushrooms, including psychedelic ones. Entire channels. So no way that isn't connected. And it had been on YouTube for 4 years. 4 years. So what brought that all on, however, is this. It clicked in my head that there are two things, just these two things, that are proof positive beyond a shadow of a doubt. Proof positive that these candidates should not be allowed anywhere near any public office. They shouldn't be allowed a position of authority at an elementary school, much less the White House. Right? So here are those things. Kamala Harris, to say that stuff about Joe Biden, and by the way, let's just play devil's advocate and say that my memory's wrong, even though I mentioned this for the first time 4 years ago on this channel, and it didn't become an internet thing until recently, and yet other people remember it the way I do. And I have proof that I put it the same way they are, going back 4 years. So, but let's just say it's not true. There is still a video of her saying she believes every single sexual assault accuser, believes them all. So how has she not said that he's a rapist? Literally has, and there's still proof of it. And the racism thing. Yeah, you can also still find proof of her saying that she's concerned about Joe Biden's Klan ties, especially with Senator Byrd. And he actually eulogized a Klan dragon when he died, calling him a friend and mentor. A friend and mentor. A mentor. She says all this stuff and then just accepts the nomination and says he's a great man a week later. That is absolute proof that this woman has zero integrity. You're going to trust her with secrets. You're going to, you know what I mean? There's no way that's okay. I mean, it's so not okay that it's incomprehensible that it's actually happening. And it doesn't matter what the fact checkers say. It is 100% certain that she talked about being concerned about his Klan ties and believes every sexual assault accuser. How is that not saying he's a rapist and a racist? That in and of itself. Forget about the fact that she knew a man was innocent and fought to keep him on death row for 18 years, saying he should stay on death row, even if he's innocent because he filed his papers late. You're going to put this woman in the White House? There are people making memes that have her in front of the Statue of Liberty with a torch, and it said, let freedom ring. Let freedom ring by putting the woman that defied a Supreme Court injunction to release thousands of nonviolent short-term prisoners, some of whom died because she didn't release them because the conditions in the prison were so bad, and she knew they were that bad. She had that information. And on the grounds that they were providing free or cheap labor for the state, she made the decision to allow nonviolent short-time prisoners to die so that they could provide labor for the state. Let freedom ring? Are you out of your monkey-ass mind? And then on the other side, we have Donald Trump. Now, let's forget about all the pictures with Diddy, all the pictures with Epstein, all of the weird comments he's made about his own daughter. Because there's one thing that is recorded on the Howard Stern show. No one can deny it. He goes off talking about how hot Paris Hilton was when he met her. She was 12 years old. 12. You know, if she was 16, most of the world, you know, the average age of consent is 16. You know, so that would still be weird. But I don't think there's any person on this earth that would make an excuse for a 50-year-old man saying a 12-year-old girl is hot and like enthusiastically talking about it. Just those two things for Kamala Harris to say these things about his Klan ties, and she believes every assault accusation, and then call him a great man and it's an honor to serve beside him a week later. You cannot trust this person in a position of power. No doubt. There's no question. And for Donald Trump to have talked about how hot a 12-year-old is also should disbar him from holding any public office. And, you know, the first step in freeing ourselves from this stuff is to be able to objectively analyze and apprehend the situation for what it really is. You know, and when you confront a lot of these people about this stuff, people, voters, you know, they'll say things like, yeah, listen to this. I've gotten this at least 3 times. Let me get it right. I know, but we don't have a choice. We only have one candidate, and we have to save our democracy. Run that through your head a couple times. Run it through your head. We don't have a choice. We have to save our democracy. We don't have a choice. We have to save our democracy. If that's not brainwashed, there's no such thing. Seriously, that's like a common thing for people to say. We don't have a choice. Our democracy's on the line. Bruh. So let me check in with the other chat. We don't exactly have a huge audience tonight, which is unfortunate because this time 4 years ago, I did this a similar stream. I almost used the same thumbnail actually, and it hit 20,000 people, and I was talking about this very thing, and I was demonetized and deprioritized and blacklisted. My Facebook was even deleted within like 3 days or something, you know? So anyways, I mean, I know I see everybody in here are, you know, regulars. It's not like we're reaching new people with this important message tonight, you know? It's a sad thing because, you know, as much as I would like to just never think about it or talk about it ever again, it is still continuously dawning on me how insane it is and how lost all of these people are. I really, I can't understand it. I can't fathom it. You know, why do people feel the need to put all of their hopes and dreams and aspirations on some slimy, abstract symbol, you know, slimy person, abstract symbol? How can they make it make sense to themselves? You know, it just, you see both sides supporting Israel. You know, Trump said he was going to drain the swamp. He filled it with more swamp monsters. I mean, no matter red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, over the decades, the trajectory has remained the same. And we have people tonight, more than likely out there preparing for civil war if the wrong side wins. And can you imagine, let's assume I'm right, and the whole thing really is just a farce, nothing more at all. They're ready to go kill people in the streets when the puppet they're fighting for is literally his strings are attached to the hands of the same puppet master. And Henry Rothschild, he died, didn't he? But, you know, that guy or his equivalent is sitting in his castle right now, just laughing his ass off, watching these crazy monkeys. I mean, it's absolutely staggering to me. It really is. But there are some positives, and we should talk about that. I was really hoping we would have a bigger audience tonight because this is really important for this entire community. But here's the thing. If I'm right about Trump and their intention to install him as dictator, I'm pretty sure that they're going to bring the shadow government out into the open, sort of, you know, by consolidating it under one party. And I've been leaning towards Trump as the figurehead. It's not like he'd be a real dictator. He wouldn't really have power. He's still just taking orders from people above him. But let's say I'm correct. The protocol for this generally is that once you install the figurehead, they're going to want to make people love him, right? So two things. The first thing is that Elon Musk, I used to be way into crypto, and I'm about to get back into it because Elon Musk has the power. I remember one time he woke up at like 4 a.m. No, he didn't wake up. I woke up. He must have already been up and probably high on cocaine because he tweeted, come rockets to the moon, which was like this porn token. And it went from like 500,000 to like $1 billion market cap in like 10 minutes or something. So Shiba Inu, Doge, and who knows what other stuff. He might create a new one, and that obviously will, explode. But Trump has said pro-crypto stuff. Elon Musk is like, the most powerful influencer in that market imaginable. So if they are installed instantly, there's going to be the biggest crypto bull run in the history of crypto. And so that gives all of us an opportunity to amass some wealth very rapidly. But here's the thing. A lot of people are suspicious that cryptocurrency actually is a trap. I think that's almost certain. Right? And you know what whales are, I'm sure all of you. They consolidate tokens, right? And there's some that are so big they can move the whole market. They can send signals even. And their signals will move the market ahead of their actual moves. So it's already pretty heavily rigged. But my point is, if you're smart and savvy and you look for AI integrated security tokens, follow Elon Musk and watch out for tweets regarding crypto. Follow some big crypto influencers because these guys get tips that are connected to whales that can move the market, right? But only the biggest ones. So I'll have lists in my Patreon for people. So this is a massive opportunity if that happens. If not, I feel like it's still a uniparty dictatorship without the crypto bull run if they put in Harris. But the thing is, you can't hold on to it forever. Because the strategy, if they're trying to make him a dictator, everything will be great. The economy will skyrocket. There'll be all kinds of opportunity for people. They'll do everything they can to get the entire herd of sheeple following this person blindly. That's what I think the plan is, right? So we're not going to have unlimited time because then they'll pull the rug out from underneath everyone. They do this every so often anyways. The American Dream slogan, do you know where that came from? The banks, I think in the 1920s, realized that if they could get every single American citizen into a mortgage, which actually means death bond. If they could get every single American family into a death bond, then when they artificially manipulate the market, they can suck up a bunch of those properties that are already paid off. And the American dream was literally a scam from the beginning. So that's my sunny ray of hope, is that we can actually empower some of the people on the fringes if you're really careful. You're going to have to get in, get the money, and then turn it into other types of resources because one way or another, I think, the whole honeymoon with a dictator is usually 6 months to a year. So my guess is you'll have about that long to turn the crypto into money and then turn that money into whatever, gold, resources, whatever you can, So, and they're going to make it easy for you. They're going to make it easy. It's going to be really good. It may be similar if they put Harris in, but, not 100% certain about that. This has been a wild, wild show, you guys, watching the psychology of humanity, realizing the depth of the indoctrination and brainwashing, the absurdity of the puppets, It's something, even my 4-year-old son the other day, I was talking about how one of the things that they've done in order to maximize the cognitive dissonance, because this is one of the fundamental techniques of propaganda, right, is they actually gave people candidates that were the most opposite of what they were selling them as possible, right? Kamala Harris, champion of justice. You know what I mean? It's like the opposite of what she actually is, a bastion of female integrity and blah, blah, blah. You know? I've never seen anyone lie that much. She's not from a middle-class family. She didn't put herself through college working at McDonald's. You know what I mean? It's just... Her own father still doesn't speak to her because she's such a piece of shit. Even after she became the first female vice president. You know? It's that bad. And then Trump, too. You know, a hero of the people. He spent his entire life ripping off blue-collar people. You know, he has 4,000 lawsuits, over 4,000 lawsuits. And a bunch of them are sexual assault cases, many of them from minors. You know? People's hero. Maximum cognitive dissonance. And I was talking to my partner about this, and my son goes, yeah, some people are really actually sheep. They look like people, but they're sheep. They just sit there and blink. That was a proud moment. I was like, damn, Nagwal, that's amazing of you. Yeah, please do hit the like button, share, subscribe. Consider becoming a patron. Channel's been falling off by the numbers for the last month or so. So that's a bummer, you know. And then I can't help myself from digging my hole deeper by doing streams like this. Yeah, it's crazy, man. We don't have a choice. We have to save our democracy. We don't have a choice in who we vote for. We have to save our democracy. Yeah, he's almost 5. He's like another 2 weeks, he'll be 5. So, smart kid, man. Kids are crazy. When he was like barely 2, his favorite band is Mr. Bungle, and there's a composer named John Zorn. And John Zorn had a band in 1980s called Naked City, and I wanted to see what it sounded like, and I put it on. And within 30 seconds less, my son was like, Mr. Bungle, he recognized the composer in a project that's not even the same genre. Blew my mind, man. Absolutely blew my mind. So, you know, I mean, I hope everyone's safe out there. I hope that things don't go off the chain tomorrow, although I can't imagine that there's not going to be civil unrest almost no matter which way it goes. You know, I think the left probably is less likely to get in their pickup trucks and drive around shooting people or whatever. But, you know, I mean, it's just they've shook the ant farm so hard, you know. It is hard to imagine that, you know, whatever happens is just going to be accepted. So it's really frustrating and insane to watch people going to these extents when they're just being duped anyways. You know, they're fighting each other over something that isn't even real. The lunacy of thinking that someone that would, you know, say the things about Biden that Harris has said about Biden, and then a week later say it's an honor to serve beside him. To think that that's someone to invest your hopes and belief in, you know, or Donald Trump, who has been a horrendous person his entire life, is suddenly a hero of the people. I mean, it just makes it so much harder to watch all of this misplaced trust, and, you know, they're so rabid and convinced of their righteousness in their alliances with these people. And it's a trick, it's a fraud. The polytrickle shitstem, as Bob Marley's guitarist, Peter, you know, the reggae guy. So yeah, I'm hoping for peace. And another thing that that confuses me about all of this is that if, you know, let's say the right, they're convinced the deep state is out to get Trump and that they want to enslave everyone, take away all the guns. Harris said the other day, gun confiscation is a wonderful idea. And if the Congress doesn't do anything about it within the first 100 days, I will sign an executive order to send them to take your guns. You know, and of course she's going to say this a couple days before election for maximum impact, you know, maximum division, maximum fucking shaking the ant farm. You know, don't even try to tell me this stuff isn't deliberate. But what I was saying is, don't these guys that are thinking about civil war realize that that would be playing right into the deep state's hands if they're right about the deep state? They have the people in the U.S. backed into the corner so hard. And this is a big part of the problem, right? Because the average person doesn't think like a military strategist. You know what I mean? They don't think like an intelligence analyst. They just don't comprehend how, you know, you have to think of the government really as a super intelligence. This whole thing of putting people like Trump and Harris in office, part of it is that they're clowns, and it allows the people to perceive just bumbling bureaucracy rather than perceiving what's actually happening. You know, so they don't think that 20 years ago, the CIA, NSA, all these different groups have compiled all this data and they've analyzed it and they've projected, you know, they know where the technology is going to be at a certain point in the future. They know how people are going to respond depending on which candidate is elected or selected. You know what I mean? Like, no matter what you do, they've already thought of that. They've already thought of that. You know, you're playing chess against an invisible opponent who is infinitely more intelligent than the sum total of all of your people. That's the reality. And Helen Keller, I saw a quote from her the other day. She said, people don't like to think because thinking leads to conclusions, and conclusions are often unpleasant. And somehow I hadn't thought about that. I knew people didn't like to think, but I didn't know exactly why. And, you know, thinking all this stuff through, I guess I do understand why they don't like to think. No, we don't have results yet, not till tomorrow, you know. So I actually put how to stay inspired throughout all this in the title. And I guess I just kind of fell down the rabbit hole of reality, the abyss that we're staring into. You know, for myself, actually, though, I have, in the last week or so, despite this horrendous pain in my jaw, you know, anybody that follows me knows that one of my big heroes that I had a personal connection with died last week, I guess it was now. And it was strange because I had started like obsessively playing the guitar again after 6 months or so being pretty dormant with it. And it was like 2 days before he died. And the night before he died, I was actually thinking about him. And I started to think like, you know, I should look at some of their influences and try to learn some stuff and also start learning things that are outside of my normal, you know, neo soul, and I learned a bunch of King Gizzard and the Wizard Blizzard's bass lines, and I've spent like last night 6 hours studying Mozart's what is it, the third movement of that really sad one. I can't remember the name of it right now. It's his most famous song. It's really sad. 3 movements, like an hour long. And then he died, and I had just been inspired by him to do all of these things, and particularly the Beethoven piece. I realized getting into it that all my compositional weaknesses and all of the things that I needed to know to make the music that I've always wanted to make, and it's always kind of stopped me from making music at all. You know, I've written a few songs, but not like I should. And I realized like it was like a huge moment for me. And so Phil had managed to, you know, he inspired me with his band in the 20s to pull my life together and have a purpose, and like, you know, and then he dies, and that same purpose is resurrected and expanded exponentially. So it's just incredible, you know, and that actually does vaguely tie into what we're talking about here, you know, because one of the things I've realized the hard way dealing with this since 2020, and, you know, I lost a lot of money for talking about the one party reality in the United States and stuff, you know, a lot of people cut their Patreon. It just happened a couple months ago again because I wouldn't take sides, you know. And I don't know if those people realize that they're just as bad as the overlords. They're like henchmen for the overlords when they're punishing people for telling the truth. You know, they're actually being evil. It's evil. You know, they're doing the dirty work of their overlords. So anyways, you know, talking to people about this stuff doesn't really do anything. Any of you guys that are listening to this and haven't clicked away, you know, it's probably because you already know this, you know, and maybe you're watching it because it's comforting to know that there are other people out there that have noticed, or, you know, maybe some of it's new to you or whatever, but preaching to the choir almost without doubt. So the only thing we can do is try to live like Phil and be such an inspiring person that even your death exponentially increases and you know, this is interesting too, because the idea that people could, especially big souls like that, right, like disperse into the unified field. So it's like the energy, because I'm trying to put the same energy out there the Grateful Dead did. He died, and my ability to put that energy out is like exponentially increasing all of a sudden, you know? So that's really the only solution. You know, tomorrow's election day. I don't know if I'll stream about the results or whatever. I don't know, but I do know that I won't have any reason really to talk about this stuff anymore. And that's really the only solution that we have, you know, is to live in a way that makes people inspired and curious. You know, how are we doing it? What is our inspiration? What is our motivation? You know, to make it enviable, respectable, righteous, you know, because we're not going to get anywhere by directly confronting people's political positions and whatnot. You know, one of the reasons that propaganda is designed the way it is that when people have cognitive dissonance, right, they're holding opposing ideas in order to maintain some belief. You know, all of these, look all throughout the personalities of the candidates, their histories, the way they're marketing them. It all has that. It all has that. Designed to create conflict within people. And once the cognitive dissonance is rooted, it's connected to our survival instinct, and therefore, if it's challenged, people go into fight or flight. So that's not going to do it. It's not going to do it. What we have to do is elevate ourselves, elevate our consciousness, increase our focus and determination, one-track mind, you know, highest expression of personal potential within the context of a greater good. That's it. There's so much variation there for you to find your personal relationship to that. But that's all we can do. You know, and honestly, I wish that I had thought about that a long time ago and never said anything about any of the political stuff. I really do. Because I wouldn't be demonetized right now, you know. And I would have had a lot more impact on a lot more people. Because the reality is that our raw consciousness, right, it's like an underlying constitution or disposition. It's there, you know, and all of these interference patterns, all of this dissonance is due to provisional programming. It's due to cultural influence and political influence and religious influence. If you target those things at the root, the political things are affected, and that is the way to bypass the political level, you know. You have to go up, under, around. What does Maynard say? Find a way around, through, or over, or something. Should have listened to him the first time I heard that song, because this is what he was trying to tell us, you know. Direct confrontation is not going to do anything. It's just a toxic waltz. But if we align ourselves with light, then it's a divine ballet. Let me look at the chat. Chicago, good to see cool, calm, and collected. Thank you, friend. I have another chat here. Do you believe in the great white hope? I don't know what he means by do I believe in the great white hope. I don't know if that's some kind of white supremacist thing or, actually, I think that the blending of the gene pool is what will create a superhuman. If people were created equally, it was definitely distributed differently. So, we have different strengths and weaknesses and different races, blend them all together, and you have a superhuman. So that's, really racism beyond all the suffering it causes. That's maybe the most evil thing about it. It's anti-evolution. It's anti-progress. That's the reality of it. And there's so many aspects of this that we could discuss. I don't know if it's, really a good investment of our time, to talk about wedge issues and how they're designed and, why there are always things that are unwinnable arguments like abortion and, I don't know, what's another wedge issue that they're always, prayer in schools is definitely not one. Have I seen Biden's apology to Native Americans? No. What did he do to the natives? He should be apologizing to black people. What happened with the crack epidemic is that there was a African American unemployment problem. And this has all been released by the CIA. So don't call me a conspiracy theorist. Go read it yourself. Actually, the cop that exposed it suicided himself with 2 shots behind the ear, which is exactly how professional assassins for, whether it's government or the mob, 2 shots behind the ear, suicide. Sure. But anyways, they invented crack. They made it, and they flooded the ghettos with it with the intention of arresting them all in order to solve the unemployment problem. And Joe Biden was part of this plan. That's what the 94 crime bill was about. So Kamala Harris knows that. She was helping him lock them all up. It's almost inconceivably insane. It really is. And my bone to pick with it all is that I've realized over the years that so much human potential is wasted unnecessarily, so much suffering, and it's all in the interest of maintaining some weird-ass illusion so that a certain little clique of people can have way more zeros in their bank account that after a certain point don't mean anything anyways. I mean, what are they even going to do with it? And that's why I do what I do, really, because I hate that. I just absolutely hate it. And I would like to see it change. I don't know if it will, but we certainly can try. So my face hurts, and I really just don't have anything else to say about all this, I don't think. So wish me luck tomorrow. Hopefully I don't need too expensive of a surgery, but I need at least 3 surgeries. I need a surgery in my jaw, and my hernia surgeries from 20 years ago failed, so I have to get those re-stapled, closed. So ain't that a bitch, man. But yeah, you guys, please hit the like button, share, subscribe, consider becoming a patron. I'm demonetized. And there aren't a whole hell of a lot of voices like mine out there that have any kind of platform at all. Mine may be small, but it is something. So we do appreciate support. There's options in the chat also for one-time contributions, and we still have room open in November, December in the Sacred Valley for events, and also in Manu and Amazon in May. So email me if you are interested in those, and good luck tomorrow. I hope everyone's safe.